are requested to proceed to gate 3 for boarding.
The flight number's underneath and it's not on there.
Still evacuate, please.
They're all fighting over the mini egg.
It's 2014 and a busy year of change.
Those passengers.
Cardiff Airport has undergone a major transformation. It spent the year modernising its operation. They've updated the terminal buildings.
He obviously ate all the pizza.
Developed new routes and invited their new owners to inspect the upgrade work.
It makes a big difference in terms of people's perceptions.
At the airport, normal operations have continued. There have been sports teams to welcome, the fans that follow them.
Gets even better.
Major events to plan for, and scheduled flights to welcome.
We've got everybody on board, so now we're ready for our night flight to Cardiff.
Filmed over 9 months and with access all areas, this is the story of the airport. Coming up, final inspections are made at the NATO terminal as the airport gears up for a momentous week ahead.
I don't know whether to laugh or cry, to be quite honest with you. I'll just be pleased for the first flight to come.
As world leaders start arriving, the airport fills up with dozens of foreign aircraft.
Hive of activity, everyone's on their game, you know, so it's going to be excellent.
And there's a moment of light relief as an ice bucket challenge brings laughter to the terminal.
I'm ready.
It's September, and the week of the NATO summit. Cardiff Airport is at the centre of an unprecedented security operation and the biggest event in its history. In just 24 hours' time, world leaders will begin arriving at a specially built terminal. Along with them will come hundreds of VIPs, officials and journalists. With snipers positioned on rooftops and armed police guarding all entrances, the airport now resembles a military base.
We've been planning this for close to a year. We've done other major events in the past, like Ryder Cup, UEFA Super Cup, Six Nations every year, but this is something a bit different, really special, and we want to show, you know, we can do this, and we'll be very proud of it as well.
At the heart of the security operation is the airport's brand new multi-agency command centre, known as the MAC.
OK, because that's a 2100 anyway, isn't it?
With secure connections to police headquarters and the military, it will play a pivotal role over the coming days.
Romania, Czech Republic, Belgium and...
Deb Barber, now the airport's managing director, is chairing a high-level security meeting as final preparations are made.
This is the real hub where all the sort of activity takes place. We've got the main police contingency in here. You'll see there's a lot of activity around this desk. That's all tied into their police comms, so they're linking back into Silver Command.
The MAC room staff will also be overseeing a second command operation located down at the NATO terminal.
The sort of hub for the airport team will be over in Bronze. We'll have SO1, we'll have the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, UK Border Force will be over there. Huge amount of preparation. It all gets a bit stressful in the time leading up. It's a bit like before an exam, you know, you spent months revising for it, you're getting panicky about it, and then this calm descends and we all just get on with the job.
Across the whole airport site, there's a huge push to ensure everything is spick and span. The grass is receiving a final trim, and the new concourse area is finally open to the public. At the western end of the airfield is the specially constructed temporary terminal, which will process all of the NATO delegations travelling in and out of the airport. With its own security hall and border control, it will allow the main terminal to function as normal throughout the summit.
Follow us on Twitter.
Chief of Staff Jason Thomas has arrived on site to ensure everything is ready. He's keen to see the souvenir shop that the airport's commercial team have been busy setting up.
We've got a little Welsh goodie bag that we put together. We just got to check now on the security protocol for if we give them to them before they come to security, it's highly likely that we'll have to take most of it off them, so we don't want to do that. So we're going to see if we can get clearance to pre-clear everything and then hand them to people after they've come through security here.
What we're trying to do is show the products that Wales are very good at producing, and it's about quality products. And I think we've got two great examples here with the Penderyn whiskies, Clog Eye Gold. You know, we've got something for the gents, something for the ladies, and then we've got the rugby shirts for the children. So, fine. I don't think they could want for much else after 3 days of NATO.
Outside the terminal, Deb has now arrived with Head of Security and Terminal Operations, Kerry Mashlin.
Go run that way, out to the aircraft.
C'est ici qu'ils monteront à bord des véhicules, en fait. D'accord, donc en fait, j'ai bien compris, le cortège arrive là-bas.
They do their best to follow the conversation as they brief staff from the French embassy on the protocol for the arrival of President Hollande tomorrow afternoon, and stress the importance of the tight timetable.
Said to be here an hour before. 15 minutes out, everyone will kick into action, get protected vehicles in, the buses in, the luggage trucks, immigration, and then going all out to convoy to do one delegation, and then we've got to do that 25 times over.
Throughout the NATO summit, Cardiff's air traffic control will be responsible for the movement of all aircraft and vehicles on the airfield. But their work is not just confined to the tower. Their engineering team is also responsible for maintaining the high-tech equipment dotted around the airfield, which allows aircraft to land safely.
Today we're taking the opportunity to do some ground checks of the landing system. We have to go across the runway on foot to do some tests.
Before the engineers can cross the runway, they need to check with their colleagues in the tower that it's safe to do so.
Control 1, Roger, not going to be able to get you on just yet. Got IFR traffic to depart, I'll call you.
Understood, standing by, Control 1.
With the runway in constant use, the engineers have just a small window of time between flights in which to carry out their work. With the Thompson plane now airborne, engineering manager Peter Burrow knows they must work fast.
We have to be as quick as we can, so the engineers are going to be dashing across, doing the readings and come back again. So let's crack on. The landing system is basically a fence of aerials which projects a beam in different directions. The aircraft picks that beam up and he'll get an indication in his cockpit on a needle showing him whether to fly left or right or whether he's straight on the runway.
Today, tests are being carried out ahead of NATO to ensure the instrument landing system is properly calibrated.
We're having to wait a little bit because there's a vehicle on the runway which does affect the readings.
It's very sensitive, the equipment. Even aircraft flying at a couple hundred feet, 300 feet can actually affect the readings as well.
Fire 6, if you can do a 182, please, and vacate.
With the fire department's vehicle now moving, they can finally get to work.
15.5 and 41. It's fairly consistent around there.
The radio waves generated by the instrument landing system carry special tones to aircraft up to 25 miles away.
The instrument landing system comes into its own in bad weather, when aircraft can't see the runway, and they can land quite comfortably in reasonable fog.
With the checks now complete, the engineers must vacate the runway quickly to allow a flight to depart.
We've done all the measurements on one landing system, another one tomorrow. It's about 180 days. We have to have another flight check and we have to repeat all the ground checks as well.
It's the following morning and the eve of the NATO summit. Over the next 2 days, delegations from 25 countries will arrive at the airport's temporary terminal. Based in bronze control at the rear of the building, it'll be the job of Kerry to ensure everything runs to schedule.
Vehicles here, and it's all hand luggage, and all coming through the terminal. I don't know whether to laugh or cry, to be quite honest with you. I'll just be pleased for the first flight to come, see the whole process all the way through, and then feel comfortable about the plans working. There's 16 we think are equipped.
We've got the NATO Secretary General who's coming in on the 9:10. So that's obviously a very important event. So the First Minister and the Secretary of State are going to go and greet him. So we just got to make sure that that all flows nicely, and that'll get us off on a good start, and then we go into the rest of the day then. Hi, First Minister. Hey, Jason. How you doing? Good to see you.
With the NATO Secretary General's plane arriving, Jason and the First Minister make their way to the runway. The arrival of the Secretary General marks the beginning of what will be an intense few hours as delegations start arriving thick and fast.
Yes, I want it out of the way so that we can...
Out on the airfield, Bill Kitchen is responsible for coordinating the buses and cars that go out to meet each flight, as well as ensuring all the passengers make it to the right place.
Can you get the bus ready for the Slovakians and the escort round to the front?
All heads of state will be met by the Lord Lieutenant, the Queen's personal representative. And Bill must ensure that the VIP welcome party arrives at the plane steps at just the right time to greet the next arrival, the Slovakian president. While he and many of his entourage are exempt from border controls, the others from the plane must clear passport control as normal. And they leave their bus to head into the terminal building.
Small bus is going to turn into the car park to pick them up as they normal would for the immigration.
A second coach carrying the exempted delegates has given the all-clear to leave for the summit venue at the Celtic Manor. But that leads to an immediate problem for the other Slovakians who did have to clear border control.
Can you get the police to turn that Celt bus around? It's gone. It's disobeyed instructions, please.
Yeah, Roger. Bronze control from Bill, bronze control from Bill.
Go ahead.
Urgent call. We need the second of those two Welsh buses to turn round. They've left the Slovakians at the gates.
Okay.
He's on his way to the Celtic Manor without his delegates, so he's empty. So.
Cardiff Airport is in the middle of the biggest event in its history, as it welcomes world leaders and delegations attending the NATO summit. In bronze control, things are now hotting up.
Okay, all the vehicles are here for Turkey. Yes. Yes. The meet and greet party.
Yes, it's in position.
Where?
I'll call it again.
Yeah, call it again.
With flights now arriving from across the world, there's a lot to do.
Yeah, EU to the left, non-EU to the right.
It's manic, it's just manic, and it's great. And we'll look back on this and just be so happy. But at the time, it's the best. And on my heels, not good. I've wrecked them by running around.
Keep smiling and we'll get through it. Yeah?
In arrivals, 25 stranded Slovakian delegates are still waiting for their coach to return after it departed without them. Airport Operations Assistant Christina Retter is mingling with the delegates to check they're all happy.
Just to ensure that they're in an area where we know where they are, offer them any refreshments if needed, because obviously the bus is left without them. But hopefully now it won't be too long until it returns.
This is why it's so important to have this facility for things that do overrun or don't go to absolute plan, that we can still accommodate and they're, you know, not stuck outside in the rain. So yeah, it's fine. So we'll just get them sorted any minute.
Everyone seems in pretty good spirits, so yeah, it seems to be okay at the moment. No dramas at the moment.
In the unlikely event of the bus not arriving back, Christina has come up with her own alternative plan.
I do have a car in the car park. Should they need a lift in a 12-year-old car?
Luckily for the Slovakians, Christina's offer will not be needed, as the coach has finally arrived back.
As you can see, although they had to wait, they're fine, no problems with them, really relaxed. So yes, very happy.
With most of the first day's flights now landed, Managing Director Deb Barber has called a debrief in the MAC room. They're keen to learn any lessons before more of the high-profile leaders arrive in the morning.
Clear and concise, but he said airport instead of aircraft.
We need confirmation from SO1 when SO1 are there before it leaves crash gate 5.
And a second call exiting crash gate 5, and then there's no confusion.
Yeah.
It's quite a complicated process. There are a lot of moving parts, lots of different types of vehicles, because some people are protected, some people aren't, some people need to come through the NATO terminal, some people don't. So it's just getting that absolutely smooth.
The French, the Belgium and the Spanish, they've got 2 aircraft each, all coming down at the same time. So
there's a couple of things, you know, we're going to put right. We've got a lot of people here who are outside of their normal comfort zones. You know, a lot of people have come out of offices and things like that. So it's just building people up to that sort of operational experience and making them comfortable and confident in the role that they're playing today.
It's the morning of the NATO summit, and dawn is breaking over the airport's temporary terminal. Over the next few hours, some of the world's most high-profile leaders will be arriving. In the bronze command room, the atmosphere is tense.
We've got a really busy morning ahead of us. Certainly feels like the big days here, you know. We've got some major delegations coming in this morning, in and around the same time as well, so we've got a really big operation to make sure that we get all this correct, you know, for the various heads of state that are coming in.
Chief of Staff Jason Thomas is travelling with the airport's chairman, Lord Rowe Beddoe, in one of the convoys heading out to meet several of the world leaders.
The Spanish delegation, there's about 30 delegates coming off with the Prime Minister. There's a big delegation here to meet and greet. Then myself and the chairman are going to try our very best to go then and hot foot it over to meet the German Chancellor Merkel's coming in. They're very close to each other.
With 2 planes from Spain landing at the airport at the same time, Jason is doing his best to establish which one has the Spanish Prime Minister on board.
Thomas the Bronze confirming the first Falcon is coming up to the stand. Is this the one with the principals on it?
Hold line, I'll find out.
As the welcome party approaches the first plane, it soon becomes clear that it's actually the other one they need to greet.
Yeah, roger that. They can make their way back to the terminal. We will wait for the second flight out here near the media bus.
With the second plane now on its stand, the airport's chairman can officially welcome the Spanish Prime Minister to Wales. At the tower, air traffic controllers are now dealing with a NATO flight landing approximately every 15 minutes. Military and civilian controllers in the radar room monitor the airspace around the airfield as the many flights descend on Cardiff.
BP Tanker 2, roger, proceed to stand 17 via taxiway Foxtrot Bravo.
Overseeing the operation is Air Traffic General Manager Roger Marsh.
It's a fairly complex operation. It's taken 9 months to get to this point. A lot of information coming in the last minute. A dynamic situation to make sure that everybody's in the right place at the right time.
Taxiing to its stand now is the plane carrying the German Chancellor Angela Merkel.
So just landed the German delegation, and they're going to come over to the big bouncy hangar over there, get the delegation off through the NATO village, shortly to be followed by the French. Got a couple of French aircraft coming in.
Back on the runway, and the German Chancellor's plane has now arrived on its stand. The bus carrying the welcome party arrives just in time for the official meet and greet. With Chancellor Merkel quickly into the waiting car, her high-profile motorcade makes its way off the airfield. On the runway, the last of the NATO flights are now arriving.
Yeah, it's all good. So we fulfilled the objective. We've got the delegates to the summit. You know, that's from Wales, you can see. We've got a whole stack of tail fins around here. It's great to see the airport looking so busy. Looking forward to this bit now because it does signify the end of the first phase with Lord Rowe Beddoe meeting the Prince of Wales and the Lord Lieutenant. They then go off to a formal reception this evening, and then that's really when we start to kick into the departure phase then.
The Royal Jet is the final NATO arrival, and the Prince of Wales receives a full welcome from the Lord Lieutenant, as well as from the airport's chairman and Chief of Staff Jason. As Prince Charles heads off to the summit, Team Cardiff are finally able to relax and take a moment to reflect on what's been a momentous day.
Tired, but really, really pleased, really happy how the operation's gone. It's an absolute massive team effort, every aspect from catering, all the delegations, different requirements, the handling agents,
It's just been huge, so really, really relieved that the first part of the operation has happened and has gone really well, and now looking forward to the departures.
It's the following afternoon, and the summit is over. After a quiet few hours, the airport team must now swing back into action.
Do you want me to speak?
Yeah.
Hiya.
With NATO delegations now arriving back at the airport to depart, the pressure is back on for Kerry in the bronze command room.
Turkish presidential bags have arrived, but they've arrived to the front of the gate. Can they be brought in through here because they're exempt from screening?
I'm happy, if you're happy.
With the team now in their stride, the planes are rapidly queuing up to depart in quick succession. In the departures lounge, Business Development Executive Reme Munoz has been busy running the souvenir shop.
Do you need some help? Just give me a shout. For sure.
It's been a hectic afternoon, but she's about to find herself thrust into the limelight. With the Spanish Prime Minister's departure imminent, Reme is the only Spanish speaker amongst the team, and she's asked to join the official farewell party.
Rajoy, buenas tardes. Soy Reme Muñoz. Trabajo en Cardiff Airport.
Ah, qué bien, qué bien.
Lord Pedo me ha pedido que le despida en nombre de Gales y de la Cardiff Airport. Ha sido un placer tenerlas en Cardiff y esperamos que vuelvan pronto.
Muchísimas gracias.
Okay.
Un placer.
I think he really liked somebody meeting him in Spanish. He said, "Thank you very much for everything. We had an amazing time in Wales." I don't think it has sunk in on me yet, so it's quite good, yeah. Back to the shop now.
With normal operations continuing, the NATO departures mean the runway is operating at near capacity.
Within 3 hours today, 20 departures just all happened. It just went really like clockwork.
It's gone like that, flown by,
yeah,
absolutely
really
flown
good.
by.
Really
Team have been
good.
amazing, absolutely amazing.
For many of the team, the last few days have been a big learning curve.
After 18 months, I actually know where all the stands are now. I haven't walked most of them for the last couple of days.
I can nearly say Azerbaijan as well.
Come on, then.
With the team in high spirits and the NATO operation almost complete, one member of staff has a promise to keep.
And she wants to do the ice bucket challenge for some reason.
I've been promising to do it for about 10 days now, but I had NATO to contend with. So I'm going to do it now, if that's okay. I'm ready.
1, 2, 3.
With smiles all round, there's time for a few team photos before the airport's historic week draws to a happy and successful conclusion.
I think when it all sinks in the next week, and when people realise what they've achieved, you know, it's something that they'll treasure for years to come. Certainly myself, things that happened over the last couple of days, I never believed I would do in my lifetime. It's been amazing. So yeah.
Thank you.